I'm Michael. I'm responsible for the Central and Eastern European countries for DEEZER, which is a music streaming service. Yeah, working for DEEZER for 3 years now. Before that, working for media, mainly starting with music labels, Universal Music, Warner Music. Then 7 years Bertelsmann, then ProSiebenSat.1, which I think is also a partner. This event I saw today was lucky. And then I founded an own streaming service for ProSiebenSat.1, which we sold to DEEZER. So DEEZER is a startup itself still. I mean, we're on the market since nearly 10 years now, so starting 2007. So an old startup. But from the mentality and from the way we work, also in terms of agile development and the processes that we have, maybe we're a bit advanced, but we're still feeling like a startup. And this is why we're also very comfortable with working with startups, cooperating with startups. That can look many different ways. So for example, we might just simply do barter deals. We have a lot of reach because we have a free service as well. So you can either listen to music for free, ad-funded, or to subscribe to the premium subscription. Therefore we have a lot of reach on the free service as well. So what we generally do often, like for example with companies like Lovoo or other startups, to do media barters where they would do some cool stuff for their customers with DEEZER, like special offers or special playlists and so on, and we would do something cool on our side. And then referencing each other, starting in social media, but also in the products, even down to deep integrations into startup products, where, for example, a music section could be integrated or certain playlists could be integrated. And then we measure success, and if it's successful, we do more. If not, it was a good try. But in general, it really helps both parties. So we like to do it a lot. Unlike other streaming services, in the very early stages, we expanded very broadly to many countries. So we're live now in 182 countries, covering all of Eastern Europe as well. Poland, for example, as we just hear, is one of our top 10 markets, definitely. So it's really going well. Also in terms of brand awareness, I just saw a recent study that we're actually, really compared to Spotify, we're on the same level here in Poland. Also due to our long partnership that we had back in the days with Orange, but also our B2C efforts and new partnerships. And we have a lot more on the roadmap for this year for Poland, a lot of new partnerships. But also in other Eastern European countries like Czech is very important to us, Hungary, Croatia, we have also a great deal with the telco. Actually, we have a deal with the telco in all of these countries, more or less. So mobile network operators are really an important partnership factor for us because it's a nice win-win situation. So to cut a long story short, Eastern European countries or Eastern Europe is very important to us. And we have much more focus on this region probably than all the other streamers. So the first impression I can only feedback is very professional, great building, great venue, great setup. Also the kind of approach to really focus on network, because that's what usually conferences are all about. So it's always a pity that many conferences are only focusing on the speaking and panel sessions, which can be helpful as well if you get some knowledge out of them, but especially if only big companies are invited and they just kind of repeat their corporate policies, then it's kind of boring and everyone's looking forward to that break so I can finally network in the coffee break. So this is why I think conferences, especially in the startup area, who focus really on network sessions, have a huge advantage, because that's what's in the end it's all about: meeting other startups, exchanging ideas, trying to cooperate, work together. And this is why panels are great, and sometimes it can be helpful to learn something or get inspired by what other people are doing. But the networking factor is something that's really, really important, and this is why I think you're doing a great job here on the Wolf Summit. I would always recommend to startups to exchange as much as possible with other startups and, of course, with established companies. So this is the main reason to go to these conferences like Wolf Summit and to be here and talk to each other. Especially this one seems to be very well fitted to have this kind of meeting spirit between established companies and startups, so and investors. So that seems to be very well established, and very well organized for that specific purpose. But in general, I would recommend, and I think that's what most of them are doing if they're not stupid, exchange as much as possible, go to hackathons, go to meetups, and exchange and be inspired, and also kind of get feedback on your ideas. Because I mean, you can be as clever as you want, but feedback from others is always helpful, even if it's just a thumbs up saying, yeah, it's a great idea, just continue doing it, it's good. We at DEEZER, we of course have a struggle as well, because there's so many new companies coming into our area, which is on the one hand great to see that we've been on the right track. So if Apple and others are launching the same product that you already have, then of course it's kind of an honor, because it justifies, or it gives the feedback, yes, this is the right way to go. That's good. On the other side, of course, competition is getting harder, and we found some good ways, I believe, to tackle those challenges, which could also be interesting for other startups. May it be that they might face themselves in the same situation because they're also in a great spot, and then other big companies or corporations discover that's great, and then they jump into that as well. So they have to fight their position. Or if it's just like an inspiration for others to say, okay, I never thought about that, or it's interesting to see that. So what I will talk about is our approach to use TV advertisement, which is kind of old school and sound like big corporation for a startup, and what the results are for a digital company like DEEZER. And to disclose a bit about our partnerships, why partnerships are interesting, what they bring in return in terms of marketing and brand awareness, but also in terms of subscribers, and also how they could benefit the partners you work with. So giving some examples of how, for example, mobile network operators benefited from working with DEEZER. Show both sides. Yeah, and I hope to be showing to other startups, or even to other executives who are here, our approach, and to make them think if that's also something that they could consider for their company. I guess I already said one, exchange and get feedback, be agile and not like really stubborn on what you want. Of course, you have to be focused and know what you want, but also not be like you have to pivot sometimes and see, okay, that's probably not the right way, but if I just move it a bit to the right or left, that's the best way. So stay flexible. Apart from that, I can only say that the TV media worked for us as a digital company. So startups might consider looking at that very early, because there are great opportunities, like with TVN. I saw they have a kind of media for equity or media for rev share deals. Also, ProSiebenSat.1 has a great program. So I can only recommend to like digital startups to look at that kind of early, because it might be a Kickstarter for them to come from to kind of jump across this kind of long time of where you need to have this this mouse-to-mouse factor. You can really kickstart sometimes your business with a TV advertisement, both in terms of brand awareness and in terms of revenues. And yeah, that's something I would as a startup, or if I would work with a startup, I would always look into that. Creative ways of getting big media exposure without having to pay, of course, directly. It's not making sense for a small company that doesn't have the budget.